All right, so today we're gonna be looking at Uberliss in the color Peach Hydrangea. Hydrangea? Yeah. So I will preface this by saying Uberliss was nice enough to send this to me, but this is not a sponsored video. So I have my swatches labeled 1 through 12, but that is not synonymous with hair levels. We do pictures and close-ups near the end of the video, so the numbers just help us keep track of each swatch. These are also human hair swatches, but the only one that is virgin hair is the number 4 black swatch. The rest have been chemically dyed or bleached at some point in their existence. One is green. Usually when I do pinky or purple dyes, I often get requested to do it on green hair. And I know this is more peachy, but I thought it still was on the pink family. So that's why I have green for number 1. 2 is gray, 3 is a natural red, 4 is black, and then from 4 to 11, we have a range that goes to platinum blonde. And then number 12 is like a toned version of number 11. So to start, I'll take the dye directly from the container and I'll put it at the top of each swatch. And then some people like to dilute their dyes, so I'll do a diluted version at the bottom of each swatch. Please keep in mind, everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair will take dye differently. Also, I've noticed that screens and monitors can make colors, especially undertones, look very different. So please just use my video as a reference for how this could possibly turn out for you. So I don't know if you've noticed, but Uberliss, their dyes are called bond sustainers. So they're bond sustainers with color. So essentially it rebuilds the bonds within the hair to help it feel like more healthy. So if you couldn't tell, this is obviously meant for more bleached hair or chemically damaged hair. But of course, I'm still trying it on all of my swatches, but especially this color because it is, I believe it's a part of the pastels. So I'm not really expecting it to do much to the darker swatches. It does recommend to have your hair bleached to level 10 or 11 to get the best color payoff. For the diluted section, we're going to do equal parts, so that's the same amount of dye as diluter. If you don't know what diluter is, the simplest answer I can give you right now is that it basically lightens the color of your dye. And if you're wondering, I just use a plain white conditioner when I'm diluting. Now in this case, I would assume that means it's going to lessen the intensity of the bond sustainer. And if that is the main reason you are buying this dye, they do make a clear one as well, like a clear bond sustainer. I personally am going to leave this on for about 3 hours. It does say 30 minutes on the container, as do most dyes, but for better color payoff, I'm going to do it for a few hours. So after I rinse them and they're dry, I'll meet you back here and we'll do some comparisons. So with my pastel videos, I like to remind everyone that these are not virgin hair. Virgin hair usually doesn't take semi-permanent dye as well or won't hold on to it as well. So even though I do see a difference from like 6 and onward, there's a good chance that if your hair is virgin, it won't either take or it'll wash right out the next time you wash your hair. So one was green. It does look a little bit more muted on both the top and the bottom. It's kind of interesting because some of the strands look kind of peachy and some of the strands look kind of green. So it's almost like it dyed over the green in some spots and didn't in other spots. 2 was the gray. It definitely looks a little bit more muted and pinky on the gray versus the blonder swatches. It's definitely a lot more like corally, peachy, orangey. 3, there's not a huge difference, but I'm sure we'll probably be able to see in the before and after clips that it still looks kind of natural. It's almost like the peachy color amped up that red in the hair. Obviously 4, there's no difference. 5, there's a slight difference, but I really wouldn't recommend using this. I don't think it makes enough of a difference for it to matter. I would say 6 through 8, I can see that pinky peachy tone coming through. It almost makes it like a rose gold on the hair. And then it's not until like 9 and up that you get more of that intentional color where it starts to look more like a peachy color versus a rose gold. Now 11 was the platinum blonde piece of hair, so it's clearly what the dye is meant to look like the most, but I would say I really like it on number 12 as well. Almost like the number 2, but not quite like the number 2. It's a little bit more muted and slightly more pinky. I would say these 2 are probably my favorites, but I do kind of like how it looks on like 7 and 8 a lot too. But again, there's no guarantee that if you do it over your darker blonde, lighter brown hair that it will stay. Really just depends on your hair. So I like to do 2 comparisons per video. And this first comparison is going to be more so for anyone who is curious about this comparison. It's not necessarily that I think they look similar. And that is Arctic Fox in the color Electric Paradise. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. So the Electric Paradise is cool because in some lightings it'll look a lot more pink, in other lightings it'll look a lot more orange. I think in this direct light it looks more orangey pink, more orange than pink I should say. Not that it is an orange, but you know. So there's a chance that the peach hydrangea is the same. I guess we'll see when I do again the before and afters because those will be in natural lighting. But compared to the Electric Paradise, the peach hydrangea does still look a little bit more orangey and definitely not as neon. Especially on number 9, you can really see the like neon qualities pulling through, whereas the peach looks a little more muted, a little more toned down. Still bright, but not neon bright. So basically, even though Electric Paradise usually looks more orange in this kind of lighting, the peach still looks more orange. And then my next comparison, I would say looks a little bit more similar because it's not quite as neon. And that is Eero in the color Rose Gold Pastel. So this is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. Okay, that's funny because when it wasn't under this light and I was looking at it, I was like, oh, you know what? That's not too far off. But as soon as I put it under this light, they look very different. So Electric Paradise actually looked more similar than I thought it would. So the rose gold definitely, again, as the name implies, looks much more rose goldy. The peach compared to the rose gold ends up looking a lot more pink. So if dyes that are called rose gold, like this Eero one, are a little bit too on the gold side for you, but then something like Electric Paradise is a little bit too pink, this peach hydrangea might be a good alternative for you. And I do quickly want to say as well that some of these look a little bit patchy on the direct dye portion, and that's probably my fault because this dye is very thick, probably due to the bond sustainer, and because I'm not using my fingers to work it in and I'm just using the brush, it can be a little difficult. So warning to anyone who wants to use this, I recommend using your hands if you can. I think you'll work the product in a lot better than just using a brush like I did. But now I'd like to get into the before and after swatches. Those, as well as anything near the end of the video, will all be done in natural lighting. I hope this video helped. If you have a request, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out. Just remember, I only do dyes that do not test on animals. Thank you so much to my patrons, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.